What does it mean to be high on life? There's a substance called life, right? The substance, the very essence of consciousness itself is a profound drug. So profound that can you imagine yourself injecting a rock with a syringe? Inside the syringe, there's a drug called consciousness. Even the stupidest person on the planet experiences that. If you give that to a rock, that would be the greatest drug the rock world would ever conceive. You know why? Because the rock would be alive and it would say, I am a rock. Do you know how amazing that is? Every day we go through that. Every moment that we're awake. That's why we're high on this thing called consciousness. That's why when people are unconscious, you have to give them that dosage of consciousness. What happens if my child is unconscious? I have to give it a dose of consciousness. I want it to be conscious rather than unconscious. You see the gap there? From matter to mind is the gap between water and wine. And if you don't think just waking up in the morning, just the fact that your brain can generate consciousness, just like my analogy, think about picking up a rock, injecting it with a quote-unquote drug, quote-unquote called consciousness. That rock would be alive and he says, I am a rock. You do that every second of your life. You don't even know it. How does the brain do it? No one can answer that question. And that's why we're quote-unquote addicted to life. Think of the struggle one has to go through. Okay, just use the analogy of a heroin addict. You think of a heroin addict. He's very pathetic. He would risk his house, his girlfriend, his relationship, his job, just to get that fix. You think that's pathetic? Think about how pathetic we are human beings are. The way that we so desperately want to be alive. The addiction of the worst heroin addict to heroin, the way that he wants the last fix, is nothing compared to the way an organism wants life. Or an unconscious being wants consciousness. We wake up in the morning every day, we want to go, we're addicted to be hooked into consciousness, we're addicted. That's why we go to sleep and we wake up, we're so desperate to be connected again to consciousness. And because this drug is so profound, because this drug called consciousness, with the ability to trip out a rock into a point where a rock would question its own existence, like what I'm doing right now, that drug is so profound that it's so addictive. Why do I say it's addictive? Think about the way a baby comes out of the vagina. The first thing he wants to do, he wants to grasp that life. He wants to be conscious. We go to sleep and we want to wake up in the morning. We want to be conscious. If a child is sick, if he's in a coma, if he lost consciousness, the first thing we do is we want him to be conscious. It's like that heroin addict. The first thing I do is I want heroin. The first thing that I need, my most primal form of drug is the consciousness. I have to be conscious. And that drug is so addictive that the life, the substance called life, quote unquote life, / consciousness, / this experience that I have, is so addictive that organisms go through millions and billions of years of evolution just to get that fix. You think that the stuff that a heroin addict has to give up for that little fix, that's nothing compared to the billions of years of all the work that those organisms have to go through just to acquire consciousness. Each one of us, even the dumbest person you know, the stupidest thought you have in your entire day, that little flicker of consciousness is the most profound thing in the universe. Each one of us has that inside of us. And you think people are like, you look at a person and he has a brain, he has consciousness, and you think, oh, he dropped 5 hits of acid and he's like in a state of mind that's he can't describe. But the jump from a normal state of consciousness to 5 hits of LSD consciousness is minute. It's so small compared to the jump from an inorganic matter like brain or rock into consciousness, flesh into mind. You see that jump? That jump is qualitatively different. It inhabits a different set of rules, set of laws, set of universe. Right? You think dropping acid, the change of consciousness between normal mode of consciousness and the acid-filled consciousness, you think that's huge? That's not huge. That's still the same degree of difference. You know what I'm saying? The degree of difference. So because this drug is so profound, like, do you not want to have this drug right now? You're addicted right now to this drug called life. Try not to have this drug. Just hold your breath I'm gonna do this right now. I don't want my fix right now. I don't want my fix. I'm a life addict. I'm a consciousness addict. I don't want my fix right now. I'm holding my breath. And if I hold my breath for 3 minutes, that breath that I draw after my deprivation from oxygen, that to the brain is the biggest cocaine rush you can ever have. Because each time we take a breath, we're stuck in this thing called life, and it's like we're smoking a little bit of it. We're injecting our system with a little bit of that drug. Every time I'm awake, every moment that I'm awake, everything that I'm seeing, every breath that I take, every breath, oh, new hit, new hit, new hit. I need a new hit. I need life. I need this thing called consciousness, and I'll do anything I can to acquire this consciousness feeling. I would not go into a state of coma. I would not fall unconscious. I would do anything I can to stay alive. That includes killing your wife. That includes stepping on children. I don't care. That includes killing other tribes. That includes billions of years of evolution and all these organisms that come before me. That requires that. Just to acquire that. I need my hit. I'm so addicted. And anything you like to do in life can be reduced down to that. Just addiction, little addiction. The biggest addiction of all is life itself. It's consciousness. That's why when people say, I'm high on life, that is not a light metaphor to make. That is a very heavy-duty metaphor to make. Extremely deep. So all the addiction that you see in life, everything's just addiction if you think about it. I like music, I go listen to music, and something happens in my brain. The reward system gets triggered. The mechanism is the same. The mechanism, the need, right? The addiction. Okay, what my mom said, my mom says, oh, I don't need to take acid. I just go to the concert. That need to get your brain stimulated through music. It's the same basic mechanism as the need the drive to the need to have sex and to eat food. Everything we do in life is just little addiction after addiction after addiction. The biggest addiction of all, like I said, is life. All this stupid addiction that you hear people are trying to recover from, heroin addict or gambling addict, sex addict, all these addicts, they're nothing. Those addicts, they're just addicted to little things. I'm addicted to consciousness. So I know that this is like a double-edged sword if you know this shit, because it's like, okay, existence is very bleak, right? Life and all this thing that's as great as the generation of consciousness is just the background of it, the mechanism is just addiction, trying to satisfy a need, trying to resolve that need to a resolution. That little mechanism is the driving force of life. If you think about it, that's very bleak. A lot of people, they don't think that you need that at all. But on the other hand, that's just amazing how you can have consciousness. Each day when we awake, every day is a trip. Every life is a trip. When you think you're on acid trip, that's just a little trip out of that whole trip called existence, called consciousness. That is the biggest trip of all. Each person is tripping balls right now. If you have consciousness, you're tripping balls. You're tripping on consciousness, right? And people need to really think about that and just be how grateful they are at being conscious, right? So that person doesn't even know that person doesn't even know she's high on the craziest drug the universe has ever invented. That person is high on the most potent drug the universe has ever invented. A drug that can turn rock into conscious being.